Hello everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with a new video, and this is me doing the top 10 worst episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Now, this is strictly my opinion, and these are what I thought were the 10 episodes of the series that just kind of bugged me in certain ways, or just that I felt like they were just missed potential episodes. And to be frank, these are the episodes that kind of annoyed me the most in terms of being the worst episodes of Batman the Animated Series. So, with that said, I am also eventually going to do the best and worst of the new Batman adventures, and don't worry, I also finished a list of the best Batman Animated Series episodes, so don't worry, I will release those eventually. I will eventually release the best episodes, but for right now, I'm doing the worst. Because let's just kick down the worst first. Number 10 is Eternal Youth. This was Poison Ivy's second episode on the show. Yes, her whole scheme is turning billionaires into trees. That was pretty much it. For Ivy, I feel like there would be something more of a grand scale, but mainly in this episode, she's just mainly targeting rich people. Yes, I know rich people control companies that also destroy rainforests, but still, with Poison Ivy, I always expect something on a grander scale. Yes, her first episode was mainly just revenge on Harvey Dent, because he plowed up a field of flowers just to build a prison. That he plowed up a field of flowers just to build a prison. But Eternal Youth, I think, is the weakest Ivy episode in my opinion, just because Ivy also has these two hench girls that never show up again in the series, and I don't understand why they were there. Yeah, they were just generic hench girls. I mean, really? Why did Ivy just have two generic hench girls and they never show up again? Also, yes, Ivy opens up a spa to invite rich people, and Alfred ends up going in Bruce's place with a woman that he is friends with named Maggie. Yeah, give Alfred a love interest. Sadly, though, the whole Alfred love interest thing, is not important enough. And yeah, it only just lands up in my number 10 spot. So yeah, number 10 is Eternal Youth. Number 9 is The Mechanic. Alright, to make a long story short, Penguin has control of the Batmobile. And how is he controlling the Batmobile? With a remote controller, of course. Given to him by a mechanic. Yes, Batman has his own mechanic. And Penguin is using a remote control to control the Batmobile. I don't understand why they have these stories where Penguin does this. Like, I heard the 60s Batman show did this, and this episode wasn't the only one. There was also that scene in Batman Returns where Penguin is using a children's toy to control the Batmobile as his mechanism. I don't understand why Penguin ever decides the whole turn the Batmobile into an H-bomb on wheels idea was a good one. And also the mechanic has a daughter that's held hostage by the Penguin. If the mechanic didn't betray Batman, then he would never see his daughter again. So yeah, this episode to me was just a clunker episode. This was the second Penguin episode to ever air, and I don't understand why the Penguin is even in this episode. So yeah, number 9's The Mechanic. Number 8 is Moon of the Wolf. So, yeah, one of Gotham's top athletes turns himself into a werewolf, thanks to a formula given to him by Milo. Yes, Batman does not suspect that the top athlete in Gotham has become a werewolf. And he ends up fighting the werewolf. And the whole werewolf premise was so ridiculous. This was definitely the most ridiculous plotline for the Batman animated series writers to ever do. So, yeah. Number 8 is Moon of the Wolf, which the werewolf was not interesting at all. Number 7 is Baby Doll. So yeah, you got a grown woman trapped in a child's body because she suffers from this condition. And she's a former TV star. And she ends up kidnapping the cast of her own TV show. What's her motivation? Well, revenge on one castmate for shoving her face into a cake. And she canceled her own show because she wasn't getting enough attention from this castmate, because this one castmate was stealing her thunder. Anyway, yeah, Baby Doll's whole revenge scheme against Spunky was just so ridiculous. She got her face stuffed in by cake. Yes, I know we're supposed to feel sorry for Baby Doll, but even so, despite the sad music at the end of Baby Doll's episode, I still did not like the episode nonetheless. The Baby Doll episode was just not interesting, and I happen to put it at the number 7 spot. Number 6 is The Worry Men. So this is supposed to be the Mad Hatter's third standalone episode of Batman the Animated Series. Unlike the first two Mad Hatter episodes with Perchance to Dream and Mad as a Hatter, I really did not enjoy this outing from the Mad Hatter. Yes, he mind controls people by using little dolls. Yeah, this was probably the dumbest Mad Hatter scheme ever. Yes, he wanted to get money to retire from crime, but honestly, this one felt really weak to me. This felt like the weakest appearance of the Mad Hatter. And probably one Mad Hatter episode I would just skip. If I want to watch any Mad Hatter episodes, I'll just watch the previous two Mad Hatter episodes. They were at least a lot more interesting, and this episode just felt like a big step down from those first two Mad Hatter episodes. Those first two Mad Hatter episodes were good. Number 5, I've Got Batman in My Basement. I know this is another early episode, but there's just no excuse. I hate I've Got Batman in My Basement. This episode was just so stupid. It felt like it wanted to be a Home Alone parody. And it stars these kids who have to hide Batman in their basement after he gets attacked by the Penguin, after the Penguin hit him with this gas. And most of this episode, the kids have to fight off the Penguin's goons, Home Alone style, and it's not very interesting. And yes, this was all over this Fabergé egg that the Penguin stole. It's not a very interesting episode, and I do not understand why the Penguin was ever in this episode to begin with. I mean, this was the first Penguin episode, but it was not a good one. Number 4, The Underdwellers. Alright, I felt very uncomfortable watching The Underdwellers, and every time I see this episode, it still makes my skin crawl. The main villain abuses children. That's pretty much it. He abuses children. What more could I say? He's a child abuser. He has children rob people. And also, he threatens to throw them into this thing called the light. And he also tells them no talking. Yeah, this episode, I really hate this episode. Yeah, there was one funny scene where where Batman brought home one of the kids and he's running around Wayne Manor causing trouble for Alfred. But still, it does not save this episode for me. Hence why The Underdwellers is number 4. Number 3, Prophecy of Doom. Alright, the main villain is named Nostromos. Nostromos is yet again conning rich people. Is one of those villains who is conning the richest people in Gotham. And he warns them about a fake cataclysm that really is not going to happen. Nostromos basically has this one goon helping him make his visions become a reality. Other than that, Nostromos is just an ordinary con man who has one thug working with him. I mean, most Batman villains would have more than just one goon working for them, but Nostromos only has one freaking goon. Wow. And I never liked this episode to begin with. Nostromos forms this cult of rich people, and yes, even, seriously, Batman knew this guy was full of BS from the very beginning, so, honestly, Nostromos really sucks. And I'm glad they never brought him back in another episode. Number 2 is a Bullet for Bullock. How could an episode featuring Harvey Bullock be bad? Well, this was another episode that was missed potential. But unlike Eternal Youth with Poison Ivy, this one made me even angrier. I really thought they would have put together a great episode of Bullock and Batman working together, especially Batman having to go out of his way to help Bullock, especially since someone has it out for Bullock. But the big reveal at the end felt very disappointing, especially when we learned Bullock's landlord had a big out for Bullock. Yeah. Bullock's own landlord tries to execute him because he's tired of being treated like a doormat by Bullock. I mean, damn, Bullock. I didn't think you'd ever mistreat your own landlord like that. I mean, sheesh. And number 1 is the Terrible Trio. Yeah, you got rich jackasses dressing up like animals. You have the names of the Fox, Vulture, and Shark. There are these rich guys who are stealing stuff from people because they are bored. Yeah, this episode was also Bruce Timm's least favorite episode. The story was very freaking predictable. I don't even understand why Robin needed to be here in this episode, because Robin was such a huge letdown in this episode. Hell, Batman just handled everything by himself, so what was the whole use for Robin in this episode? So, in all honesty, yeah, the Terrible Trio was a very terrible episode. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time for the absolute best Batman the Animated Series episodes. See ya!